This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
Well,
And I'm Zeo.
And Zeo, since we forgot yesterday, I think, why don't you tell people who you are and what your channel's all about?
I am Zeo. We talk about nerd news and occasionally play video games. That's about it.
And I've plugged this video twice, so I'm going to plug a different one. Definitely go and watch his GeForce video. Definitely it was a good conversation about what's going on with the NVIDIA GeForce service.
also the ESRB video was good.
I don't think I must have missed that one.
Did I do an ESRB video?
I thought you did. Yeah, you definitely did. I commented on it. Don't give me this crap.
I think we were talking about something else and it was related.
All right.
Okay,
well,
okay.
the general topic. All
You
right.
guys talked about the ESRB,
Yes.
which taught me something I didn't know about adult-only ratings in conjunction with loot boxes and gambling mechanics.
What?
Right. So I sort of had the meta topic. Okay.
Okay.
Check out that video. All right. It's still good, isn't it?
Anyway, go to my channel and watch my stuff. All right.
Yes, definitely do it and subscribe. Okay, you can find him by doing in quotation marks Zeo Gaming. Pretty good way to find him. All right, so today we're not talking about Donkey Kong bongos or Congos or Conga or Jungle Beat, any of that stuff. We're not talking about that. So I exited those tabs. Don't worry about it. Right? All good. Today we are going to talk about our favorite things to recommend for this week. Don't worry about it, Will. It's all good.
It's fallen.
I'm gonna let Zeo go first.
All right, I get to go first this
Yes,
time.
you do.
Sweet. My recommendation: if you want to play an MMO and you don't want to play World of Warcraft, go play Final Fantasy 14. It's so much better. No, but Final Fantasy 14 is an MMO where they've done a combination of taking a lot of things from the Final Fantasy universe. Square Enix has outdone themselves with it. Looks amazing. Plays really great as well. If you come from something like World of Warcraft, of course, it takes a little bit getting used to because the GDC or the GC is 2.5, I believe, compared to WoW's like 1 second global cooldown. So it takes a little bit to get used to, but once you get leveled up and everything, it comes pretty good. So, and this game also failed when it first launched back in like 2010, I think. Is that when it launched? Yeah, I believe so. Or maybe 2013.
When did it relaunch as its new version?
No, I think the relaunch was August 2013, and it originally launched in 2010, and its previous version failed. It failed horribly, apparently. The game now is called Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn because of the relaunch. The first one was dubbed Final Fantasy XIV 1.0. A Realm Reborn is occasionally called Final Fantasy XIV 2.0. And essentially, the game did really bad. Square messed up, had no idea what they were doing, trying to redo Final Fantasy 11, I believe, with much upgraded graphics, but didn't do so well. And they scrapped the development team and called in Yoshi P. I think his name is Nikoi Yoshida. I probably mispronounced that, but according to the community and other people, they call him Yoshi P. And his team was tasked with finishing the content of 1.0 while redoing the entire game for 2.0. And they did it really well. What are you showing there? Is that Shadowbringers?
It is.
That is the latest expansion. Very good. But essentially, they finished the story of 1.0, shut it down, and then brought it back like a year or two later. And recontinued the story from that point. So at the end of the story, you were tasked with stopping the Garland Empire. They were going to bring down Eorzea's second moon. It they succeeded, and your job was to try and stop the primal who was released, and you failed. They end the game. If you look up the Final Fantasy XIV opening cinematic, that is what you wind up being greeted to at the end of the game. It's that top one there, I believe. And it's a very nice cinematic where the 7th Umbral Calamity is taking place. Your characters are known as the Warrior of Light, and you're transported 5 years into the future. And then Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn picks up from that point. If you happen to be a player who played on the original 1.0 build, they have a nice little touch where characters will remember you. So if you run into somebody you originally had to run into in the original build, they'll be like, oh, hey, I hadn't seen you in so long. What happened? You know, that sort of thing, or welcome back. You know, it's been 5 years. And of course, if you're a brand new player, it's standard introductions, of course. It's, hi, I'm so-and-so. Who are you again? Are you the fabled Warrior of Light we've heard about? So,
nice.
You know, it's just little touches like that. The way they do their class system is sort of a one character to rule them all kind of deal. But at the same time, each job or class is kind of set in its path. So if you're going to be a white mage, you're always a healer. You don't really have a choice between DPS or heals. You will always heal. Meanwhile, if you're a ninja, you're always going to be DPS, and you got no choice behind it. So, I mean, other than that trade-off, and it has gathering and crafting professions, of course, like any other MMO. Except for every one of those professions are their own job in itself, with own quest lines, quests to do, its own gear, and levels. So if max character level is like 70 or 80, which I can't remember off the top of my head right this second, you know, crafting level is the max level as well. But you have to re-level it from level 1 and get its own gear. And it gets its own skills, its own abilities, and it's kind of a sort of a mini game of sorts. When you go in, it depends on how you want to go about actually crafting gear, which is a lot better than other MMOs that you just hit a button and you craft an elixir or something. Because you've got the materials. In this one, you've got to, okay, I'm going to try and enhance, you know, the outcome of this to make it a higher grade or something. And then in this turn, I'm going to actually build the item a little bit. But then you also have a counter, essentially, that's ticking down every time you do it. And then you've got to try and refresh that. And while balancing, trying to make the best yield of the item while actually completing the project, because you can actually fail and lose it altogether along with your materials.
Oof.
So it's definitely an in-depth job, or an in-depth crafting system that I hadn't really seen in WoW for sure, or in other MMOs. So it's definitely its own game altogether, just crafting in that game.
That's cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Sounds like a much more in-depth MMO than the ones I've played. It's almost like if you took and rebuilt RuneScape as an HD 3D world and then made it better.
Yeah, I never did get to play RuneScape. So many people have told me how they love RuneScape. In fact, I met a guy who met his wife from RuneScape. Which I was just like, that's weird. That's just me.
A couple good friends of mine, they met over Halo 2.
Really?
See, I can understand that. Halo 2 is good.
Wow. No, deep cuts received. Okay, well, why don't you go ahead?
I'm just kidding, but still.
All right, so I'm recommending a board game this week, Champions of Midgard. It's a worker placement game. So you get like little meeples, and you can have them do, like, place them in different spots and have different actions. Have either of you guys played this before?
Maybe. No, I haven't.
So I don't know. It's a typical worker placement game. So people who play board games probably know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a certain number of meeples. You can like build up the number that you have those little people characters that you're seeing there, like the blue and yellow and stuff. So you start off with a certain number and you end up building it up, and you can place them on different actions or different locations on the game board. And then the idea is you're completing quests and you're fighting monsters. And there's a certain area like the merchant ship where you can like buy ships or you can rent ships, and you can sail across the sea to fight better monsters to get better loot. And then, but if there's randomized events, so you can end up like fighting a sea monster on the way to fight another monster, and then it could wipe out your entire army. So you end up losing all of those meeples and losing all your supplies. And then also there's a bit of a cooperative element as well, where there are certain monsters that are placed onto the board at the beginning of every round. And if someone, like, it doesn't have to be you necessarily, but someone has to beat them by the end of the round, or that monster like will impact every single player. So sometimes you can use that to your advantage. So if you're like really doing really well, you can allow it to attack you, but it's also going to hurt the other players. It might hurt them more. So it might be an advantage not to actually fight that monster, or you can specialize and only fight the monsters that are the easier ones, but you're not using as much supplies to fight them, so you can like build up at the end. It's very fun. It's very easy to pick up. You can play 2-player to 5-player with the expansion, I believe. It's not as much fun with 2 players just because it's sort of easy with 2 players. But it's a great party game. It's really easy to pick up, and every time I play board games, I always ask people to play this game with me. So I really enjoy it.
Seems like it'd be your what to me would be Starfarers of Catan. This would be your Starfarers of Catan.
Yeah, well, it's fun because it's fantasy and you're actually fighting monsters and stuff. So it's that's fun. Have you ever played like Lords of Waterdeep, which is a D&D inspired game? It's very similar to that. There's also a Game of Thrones board game, which is also worker placement. It's similar to that game as well. But this Champions of Midgard, I think, is one of the better worker placement games if you're into that kind of thing.
So it's like Risk meets D&D.
Yeah, not really. So Risk. I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to think of the last time I played Risk.
It feels like D&D, but the only thing I have to compare it to is Risk, because it's the only other thing I've played.
Yeah, so it is like D&D. So I mean, Lords of Waterdeep is a D&D game, and it plays very much like that. So you have like these monsters you're fighting. You have, I mean, that's the only D&D game I've played. So actually, I've never actually played the actual D&D like campaigns before. But it's similar where there's like this mystery element where there's a monster that can come out, and you have to like plan your moves ahead. And although there's not like a dungeon master, there are these random elements to it, which makes it very interesting. So you can have like this great strategy going in to fight this monster, and you're going to get all this gold, and then suddenly there's a kraken that eats your ship. And you're like, oh crap! So
that guy just wink at
all
us.
the supplies.
Did he just wink at us? Hold on, I want to see this again.
What?
Hold on, ready? Yep, he did.
Yep.
He winked. I love this guy's editing. All right, I'm gonna recommend this guy's channel. Go check out Shut Up and Sit Down.
I've got a board game to go buy.
This
is really fun.
Is a lot of fun, I will say.
The expansions are also very fun.
I picked up a few Kickstarters, but Kickstarters can get kind of expensive, so I've stayed away from them for a little while. And they're coming from China, so I can look forward to potentially, seeing my shipment quarantined. Let's put it that way.
Well, rather have the shipment quarantined than yourself. So
yes, that is true. All right. So is that all you had to say, Will?
Yeah. Other than like there's these different dice or different die, and certain enemies can only be attacked by certain die. So you actually have to plan out what dice you send, and those are like technically your army. So you can build up the number of die that you have, and you can lose them, which is very unfortunate. And again, when you're going on those journeys to fight the bigger monsters, you can end up losing all of your supplies and all of your die. So it's very fun.
Cool. So
it looks like it's a lot of fun. So
I'm gonna do something real quick. Give me 1 second, I promise. It won't take very long. I'm gonna try and prevent us from getting another stupid maybe I can't do it. I'll figure it out later. I was gonna say I was gonna invert the trailer so I don't get another stupid copyright claim, but whatever. I guess we'll get another copyright claim. It was like easy for you to say. I did dispute all of them and win all of them, but anyway, so this show is one of the most bizarre shows I've ever watched, but I really enjoyed it. All right, the whole premise behind it is that this girl is murdered, would be Laura Palmer, and she shows up on the beach or on the shore, I guess, basically in giant saran wrap, like medical grade saran wrap. This commercial is almost weirder than the show. Anyways, I don't remember this commercial. Okay, so the whole thing is like set up as like a mystery sci-fi, but done in like a soap opera style show, which is makes it the most quirky show I've ever watched in my life. But the sci-fi / mystery elements of it, it's almost like the two worlds colliding made the most interesting but weird television of the 1990s. And the characters are unforgettable. Once you've seen this show, like the characters are just, you'll never see them as anything but that character going forward. Like there's some characters from Stargate SG-1 that came off of this. And then there's some characters that, like, I don't know how to describe the show very well, but it is really good. Okay. Twin Peaks. I watched the whole thing. It's like the intro is like a overview of a town, like from a helicopter view, and it's just like this music that you would expect to hear in like the 80s synth type music playing over it. It's like this super peaceful sound, but like there's all these quirky and creepy and horrible things going on in this town. And Special Agent the character played by Kyle MacLachlan. You know who that is?
No.
Have you seen How I Met Your Mother or Doom? Or Dune, not Doom. He plays characters in both of those shows. There it is. This is the guy.
Oh yeah, I recognize this character.
Yeah, so he plays.
I know who that is
he
now.
plays Detective. What the heck is? Special Agent Cooper. Special Agent Cooper. That's what it is. And he is like the best character on the whole show because he's like this happy-go-lucky, kind of naive detective trying to solve the case, and really it's just like supernatural stuff is going on. But the whole time he maintains his positive composure, and his ending made me like, I can't even say it. Okay, the ending was like, whoa. And then the show just abruptly ended after season 2. They just canceled it. Like, this is too weird for television right now in the 1990s. Kind of like SWAT
Didn't
Cats.
they make a movie? I guess a movie or something.
There is a lot of what I'm going to call fan service for people who like the show, in that they made a full-length movie, and it was more of like an action thriller, which was like, whoa. And then they made a new season in 2017-2018 timeframe that wasn't the same soap opera, quirky mystery thriller style show that they had before. It was actually kind of a how do I want to say this? It was like how everybody does a reboot of a show. They were making fun of that, but also making a kind of a serious continuation of the original show.
Weird. Okay.
The creators of this show are two of the most strange and interesting writers I've ever watched. But they've also released like diaries and fictional stories, and also what they consider Twin Peaks canon, and I don't know. It's all over the place. But the original show is what I'm kind of recommending tonight. Twin Peaks from the 1990s, season 1 and 2. Iconic television series, really interesting, but also very slow. My wife was not willing to sit through this show with me, let's put it that way. It was a little too slow for her, a little too quirky. For me, it was like, ooh, I like this. I can kind of sit back, watch it, catch some things, not catch some things. It was just quirky and good and my kind of show. So if if you're into weird shows from the 1990s, sci-fi mystery thriller, but also like, I don't know, it's the only show like this. So if it sounds appealing, try out the first episode and give it a shot.
Any idea if it's on Netflix or Hulu?
It was on Netflix. I wonder if it's still.
Because I kind of want to go check it out.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
like
I've heard
really
a lot of good things about this show.
It's really odd. All right, let's see. It's streaming. Yeah, it's on Netflix, Hulu, and
All right,
CBS, apparently.
I'm probably going to start watching something tomorrow.
I'm signing off.
All right. Well, we want to thank Zeo for being a good guest on this podcast.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for having me. So
make sure you guys go check out his
channel. It's been a lot of
channel.
fun being here this week, and this is my first collab, so I was definitely excited to be here. So,
Oh, you've never done a collab before?
never done it. Thought about it. Didn't know who to ever even do anything with, and this just happened to fall in my lap, so went with it.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on here. It's been really fun.
Do. Thanks.
Everybody go check out Zeo Gaming. If you don't, then go ahead and unsubscribe from us as well. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But for all the latest gaming news, go to twitter.com/ZeoTGT. He'll let you know every time he releases a video. Or you can attempt to rely on YouTube to give you a notification. But as always, that doesn't necessarily work. Oh, I forgot. I released my Donkey Kong Country retrospective, the first video.
Oh, yeah. It was good.
Everybody needs to go check it out. Surprisingly.
Show that off real quick.
Yeah, well. I can't believe I forgot to tell everybody about that. I was going to do it on the Monday episode, and I totally forgot. Let's see. So it's really short, 2 minutes, worth your time to watch. Hey, 15 subs. Sweet. It was only at 9 this morning. I'm pretty sure it's going to get copyright struck at some point because I use some Donkey Kong Country music in the background, but this is kind of the style format. It's got some narration going on. If you feel like a retrospective on the Donkey Kong Country series hasn't already been done too many times, go check out my video.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the others are probably like 10 to 15 minutes long, and this one's what, 2? So
yeah. I'm going to cover like one game per video. So like the next one might be like 5 to 10 minutes. And then following that, just depend on how long I feel like covering each game. But this one was short because it's just like an intro to the series. So yeah, go check that out. And Zeo, go check out Zeo.
Yeah, definitely come over here and subscribe.
Let's get him to that
Do it
100
now.
subs so he can get the Zeo Gaming URL.
Yeah, I know.
definitely.
I'm waiting on that, so I'd be the first one to get there. There's many like me, but just me. I'm the best one. So
Just like we said, Nerd Talk, Dan was the best Nerd Talk. This is the best Zeo for Zeo Gaming.
that's right.
All right. So, as always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will
And I'm Zeo.
And we will see you
on the next CHRILLCAST.
Ooh.